আচ্ছা ম্যাম, বলছি যে অনেকেই তো এখন জয়েন করতে চাইছে আর কি, তো তাদেরকে আমি এখন জয়েন করাচ্ছি না। তো স্পিকার এলেই কি সবাইকে জয়েন করাবো, নাকি 4টে বাজলে সবাইকে জয়েন করাতে থাকবো?
4টে বা 4টে বাজতে 5 মানে আর তো 1 মিনিট 1-2 মিনিট বাদে সবাইকে জয়েন করিয়ে দাও।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে ম্যাম। আচ্ছা ম্যাম, বলছি যে অনেকেই তো এখন জয়েন করতে চাইছে আর কি, তো তাদেরকে আমি এখন জয়েন করাচ্ছি না। তো স্পিকার এলেই কি সবাইকে জয়েন করাবো, নাকি 4টে বাজলে সবাইকে জয়েন?
Riyadi has joined. I think Riyadi has joined. Good afternoon, Riyadi.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yes, our participants are joining one by one. We have started. So maybe we'll wait for 5 minutes, Riyadi.
Yeah, sure. It's not yet 4. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll wait for 5 minutes, and in the meantime, Sharuni and Orko keep on accepting the student participants, and also if the faculties are also entering one by one.
Yes,
So I have also mentioned in the WhatsApp group that first 100 participants will be joining here in the Google Meet, and the others would see through the YouTube live streaming. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to try and share my screen so we can presentation
Yes,
at least.
Yes.
Just let me know if you're able to see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think I'm going to go off video. I'll see you on video now when we start, and then once I'm presenting, I'll just go off video.
Ma'am, actually, when you are presenting, you will see there'll be two windows by your name. On one window, you can see your face, and the other one, the presentation will be displayed.
I see. Okay. So, yeah, in case I face any bandwidth issues, I might have to turn off the video. I'm turning it on now, just for a
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So have we started yet?
No, ma'am.
I don't think so.
No, ma'am. We are just testing the presentation.
Okay. Hi, Ria. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
কেমন আছিস? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I didn't know.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there till 4:30, কিন্তু আমার পুরোটাই শোনার খুব ইচ্ছা ছিল। Once more, 4:30 মানে একটা মিটিং ডেকেছেন।
Exactly.
So I have to join there.
I also wanted to
I think but Sharoni, I think you are recording it on YouTube, right? Because we have more than 100 participants.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. I'll go back. So it's always a pleasure to hear her.
Sure.
So we are almost ready, right?
So I'm sharing my screen. I'm not sure whether you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
You can see it? But I haven't started this.
Yeah, we can.
Let me keep that started. Okay.
Sharoni, how many we have now? Presently joined, I think 17, right?
We have 23 participants.
23 participants, okay.
Yes, sir.
So Meet can accommodate up to 100.
100.
Okay. Beyond that, you have shared the YouTube link also, so that students can go there.
Ma'am, once the participants near 100, then we'll share the link. Otherwise,
Share the link.
there will be
Okay.
people in both.
Fine.
No, Sharoni, I have shared the link already.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Fine.
So I think you will have to. Two of you are there, right? So one can look at the chat box at the YouTube, and one can look at the chat box at the Meet forum. You can collect the questions in between whenever ma'am says so, and then you can pass it on to her. Because it will be difficult for her to
Right.
collate both.
I'm not able to
You can
see
do
the
it.
chat or I'm not able to see anything. I can only
Yeah,
see the
no.
presentation.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
don't
see
bother
it.
about that. The students are very smart. They can handle that. They have been doing it so far.
I'm sure. So if this is being recorded, will this be available also on YouTube later?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll share the link. Yeah. Hopefully you can share the link. Hopefully you can be there initially, right? So you start.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, today also has some presentations.
Presentation going on.
Yes.
Very good.
So I have left that presentation for maybe 15 minutes. After that, I'll join. And in the meantime, when I'm not here, Piyu will be here. Piyu Upadhyay, she's also a faculty of our department. She will be there till 5. If there is any kind of problem, so one of our faculties will be there.
Okay.
Somebody named DTS Tube is presenting. Can you stop presenting because the other presentation is
Devlina Goswami, I think.
Now she has stopped. So one ground rule that all participants must follow, since like 70 participants have already joined in, that all of you please keep yourselves on mute, put your cameras off, otherwise it will create a lot of noise. So only the speaker will be on unmute, and all your questions during the session you can write in the chat box, like in the YouTube. If you are in the YouTube, then you write it in the YouTube. And if you are in here in the Google Meet, just write it in your chat box. And when the session will be like when the speaker of the question answer session, then our student volunteer will take up your questions, and those questions will be answered. So other than writing in the chat box, do not do anything like unmuting occasionally or keeping your cameras on. So don't do that. So it will keep the presentation to run smoothly. Okay.
Let me know when you want to start.
Paranadi, shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So once again, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Riyadi. Good afternoon, Arnadi, and all the participants. So today we have gathered here for a webinar, and it has been organized by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. And the webinar is basically focusing on the students to, as the name suggests, enhancing the employability quotient. So it is basically, it's like a session to prepare the students so that they get better employment. So our today's speaker it's Yadi, and she has been our ex-colleague. Dr. Riya Mukherjee will be our today's speaker, and I'm very happy that she has agreed to do the webinar with us, and a little sad also because I won't be able to attend the whole webinar. I would request Sharoni to introduce our today's speaker to the rest of the participants. So over to
Yes.
Sharoni.
Ma'am, just one more thing, Fultuli ma'am, can you share the YouTube link in the group because I think it is not shared.
Till now it is 79
Okay, okay.
participants, so I'll share
Okay,
maybe
ma'am.
5 minutes after then. Okay. So you please
Yes, ma'am.
start the session by introducing our speaker with the rest of the participants. So over to
Good
you.
evening, everyone present here. I would now like to introduce a speaker for today, Dr. Riya Mukherjee. Dr. Riya Mukherjee is an interculturalist educator who has been teaching since 2001. After 10 years as an English teacher at undergraduate and postgraduate courses in academic institutions, she joined the industry in 2011. She is currently a specialist faculty of leadership, business skills, and culture at TCS. Dr. Mukherjee creates courses, designs curriculum, and conducts workshops for clients and colleagues. She has a PhD on women's studies from Jadavpur University. She studied in Italy and England, having won the Italian government scholarship and a Commonwealth fellowship. Dr. Mukherjee has written on topics including communication, employability, gender, pedagogy, and performing arts. She was awarded an IATEFL Conference Scholarship and a Melbourne University Scholarship to present papers in Germany and Australia. Her latest workshop on using body language in the classroom was presented in the International SIETAR conference in Belgium in May 2019, where she was a part of the organizing committee. She is often invited by academic organizations to address their faculty on pedagogy or students on employability. Ma'am Mukherjee speaks English, Bengali, Hindi, and Italian. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us for today's session.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to come back to BP Poddar, and I keep coming back to address the students of this institution. It was not mentioned probably in the profile, but I did teach. I was in the humanities department of BP Poddar Institute of Management and Technology.
So I would like to slightly interrupt Riya because I wanted to mention that to our students currently who may not be knowing you. Incidentally, students, Riya was with us quite some time back, but she was there with the humanities department. But along with that, she played a with the placement department, grooming students in making them prepared for placements, and we did not have a very structured cell at that point of time. So Riya, with some of our other colleagues, played a very active role, and she keeps doing that. So I'm so happy that even being in the industry, I'm sure she's terribly busy. She takes up so much of different kinds of assignments, but yet I feel she feels. I think it's a different satisfaction to come back to the students at the end of the day and interact with you all. So you should take a big chance, an opportunity today to interact with Riya. Okay, so Dr. Mukherjee has, as Sharoni had read out her profile, she has a vast experience, a very variety which is seldom found in the industry. So I'm sure you people will be interacting with her throughout the session and gaining a lot from her. Thank you so much, Riya, once again for being with us today.
Thank you, Oni. It's always a pleasure, like I said, to come back. And this connect is something that keeps us all feeling useful and hopeful at the same time. So, dear students, thank you for logging in and being with us on this Saturday evening, afternoon. We're in very strange times. We are in a space and time which was completely uncalled for. We didn't have any idea what was going to happen. Our worlds turned upside down 4 months ago, and many of us are still struggling with the uncertainty uncertainty. Many of us are going into mental health issues. Jobs are uncertain. The times are changing fast and rapidly. And this is a time, I think, that we need to take a pause and reflect a little bit, just to stop for a while and think about where we are heading, because I think many of the questions that are there in our heads right now, we don't have answers to, right? But we try to do the best that we can, and under the circumstances, under the context, we need to make sure that we are best prepared for what we can predict, what the experts are saying, what possibly is going to be the takeaways for us. So the next 35 minutes, I'm going to share a couple of pointers with you all on what could be the ways of staying relevant, of being employable. And when we say soft skills, it's not just about getting a job. It's much more than that. I think we all know that it's about staying relevant after we get the job. It's about getting the promotions. It's about being able to work effectively and efficiently in a team across the globe, because now the boundaries are completely merging. We don't really have any boundaries. The global boundaries have merged, and there's so much going on. There's so much happening all at the same time. It becomes more and more difficult. Sometimes it's very stressful, in fact, to be out there and to keep track of everything that's going on. So we have the FOMO happening, and we want to constantly be ahead of the rest. So let's sit back and see, and then we will, of course, open up to discussions. Unfortunately, when I'm presenting, I'm not able to see the chat or anything else for that matter. So I'm going to just request the student volunteers to help me with the questions in the chat box. We'll take a pause off and on to understand the questions, and and then of course I will keep 10 or 15 minutes at the end for some discussion, right? So without further ado, what I do in Tata Consultancy Services, a little bit, just a brief. My team designs courses, curriculum on language, culture, and leadership. So when we say business skills, it's mainly about articulation, communication. And this is something that I've been doing for about 11 years now. I'm also looking at some other geographies outside of India. So I belong to talent development. So at the very beginning, I should make it very clear that I do not belong to the recruitment team of Tata Consultancy Services. So my pointers would be from the perspective of what the industry wants, has been wanting, and will probably still want from the future generations. So going ahead, a little bit of a quotation from a man that we all know. Could one of the volunteers please read out the quote?
Yes, ma'am. A lot of people in our industry haven't had very diverse experiences, so they don't have enough dots to connect, and they have very linear solutions without a broad perspective on the problem. The broader one's understanding of the human experience, the better design he will have.
Thank you. Thank you. So take a moment to reflect on what these dots are and how we can connect them to get to the solutions. Remember, we have a lot of problems. We are in a difficult time. We are probably going to be faced with another recession, and people are losing jobs, and we are in a difficult space, right? So instead of just focusing on the problems, let's look at what are the possible solutions if we connect dots, right? So have a big picture perspective, and let's see where we can head out. So my first question to all of you, and is going to be whether you think, and this is a yes or no question, do you think that skills, personal skills, can be developed? It's just a yes or a no. Do you think that people are born with personal skills and they cannot be trained or developed? Or do you agree that yes, personal skills can be developed? You can type out yes or no in the chat box.
Ma'am, most of the people are responding it as yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I was hoping for that. Yes, personal skills can be developed. Okay, what we need is an understanding of what is expected. What we need is an awareness of what is necessary, what is relevant. And with the changing times, different skills come up, different skill sets come up. So, in general, we're going to look at some universal asks, what employers usually look for. And that is the ask model. Does anybody know what ASK stands for? If there is an answer in the chat box, I'm going to request for help. And am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, and somebody just replied that they don't know, and I don't think anybody knows. So they would have replied.
We'll wait for a few more seconds in case somebody knows what ask model stands for.
Yes, ma'am, somebody replied, 1 second. Attitude,
There's
skill,
always
knowledge.
excellent. So, yes, it stands for attitude, skill, and knowledge. And we are going to look at mainly the skills because the skills will ultimately connect. These are the three dots that will connect. Is one of positivity, one of looking for solutions instead of focusing on problems. That's the attitude that people are looking for. Innovation, an attitude of creativity. And what are the skills that will help us to get there? And of course, the knowledge. Knowledge is the base. That's your technical knowledge. I'm not even questioning that because that I have no clue of. I'm not a technical expert. What I can say is that yes, I do go sometimes when the tag team, the recruiters team asks me, I do go and do some interviews and I give them my remarks and feedback. So the knowledge or the technical base is non-negotiable. Everybody has to have that. Apart from that, if there are 500,000 computer science engineers, what is it that makes you different? So my question to you will be then, why should I hire you? There are just that many jobs. Why you? I have 1 million other people to hire. Why should I hire you? And that's where your attitude and your skill comes into play. Because the knowledge base, all of them have it. The BTech degree in computer science engineering, everybody has that. So you have to stand out by showing differences in your attitude and your skill. Okay? So this is what employers will typically look for, and this is universal. It's in spite of or despite of the difficult times that we are facing now, post-COVID. Now, the top 10 skills, and this is from the University of Kent, a lot of research has gone into these skills. I would give you half a minute to just go through these skills. And this is, let me tell you, pre-COVID. These are the top 10 skills that were before COVID. That's the research. And I'm going to also show you the change that has happened. And after in these last 4 months, what are the skills that are relevant now? But just go through these skills, look at them and see if you understand them, because a basic understanding of these skills is very important. And if you want to make a note of one or two that you don't understand, jot it down now. We can come back to it during the last 10 minutes during the question answer. So perhaps one of the volunteers could just read out the column on the left-hand side.
Yes, ma'am. So the top 10 skills required in the industry are verbal communication, teamwork, commercial awareness, analyzing and investigating, initiative or self-motivation, drive, written communication, planning and organizing, flexibility, and time management.
Thank you. In case anybody has any questions, save it for later, jot it down. We'll come back. The description and the The explanation, the definitions are in the right-hand column. So I would request you to quickly go through those and keep a mental note or a diary note in case you have a pen and paper. Write it down and we can come back to discussing that later. So this was research last year, 2019. After the last 4 months, we have a new list of skills. Okay, and this is from the Forbes magazine. The researchers have already started looking at the skills that are relevant, especially for the IT industry. That's where I'm coming from, and all of you being computer science grads, undergrads, you're also going to find these skills the most relevant now in the next year or two. The first one is adaptability, being flexible, being able to quickly space yourselves out and fit into new models of work, new modes of delivery. That's being adaptable, being able to quickly, smoothly transition into a completely new framework. So that requires a lot of flexibility, also of the mind, to be able to do that. A lot of people, like I said, are facing mental health issues because we're social animals, human beings, and staying at home and working, even though it sounds like an easy task, it's not. I'm sure many of you are figuring out when you don't get to meet your colleagues and your friends, when you're sitting at home, focus, it is quite difficult, right? But this is a skill that is going to be very, very crucial, very vital, being flexible and adaptable. The next one is, I don't think I need to explain this. Okay? We all need to be very, very technologically savvy, very, very competent technologically. And it's not just about artificial intelligence or Internet of Things. It's also about knowing the different channels, knowing the different mediums, and being able to utilize them for networking and for work. To be able to create that presence that, yes, I'm doing this work, and you need that technical skill. Okay, so you people being of a younger generation, it's probably easier for you all to be up to speed, to know the latest in technology that you can use to make the work easier and more fluid. The next one is creativity. And this, again, is about innovation. Because the companies are now looking for people who can think out of the box. So we don't want someone who's going to just do the things in a routine manner, but someone who can think differently, somebody who can create solutions differently. Because nobody was prepared for this, right? And we're all struggling to cope with it. And thanks to the innovative methods and thanks to Microsoft Teams and the channels and the blended modes of work, that we're able to survive. It's going to get better. Soon the vaccine will, I'm sure, somebody will find the vaccine and soon we will be in a better space. But till then, we need to be extra prepared. Okay, the next skill, number 4, is data literacy. And that, of course, is to do with data is God. Okay? So you need to be informed. You need to know what are the trends happening, what are the market trends, because it's constantly changing, constantly shifting trends, and the customer's needs. Even that is changing because of the fluid nature of things right now. Data literacy is a must because you have to have that data in order to be able to manipulate and do the mathematics out of it. Right? Next one is critical thinking, and that is related to decision making because people need to make decisions on the spot, spontaneously thinking on your feet, being creative about it, but also being able to make the decisions that have the right impact on the industry, on your jobs. So you have to have very, very good critical thinking skills. Right? Digital and coding, this is something that, of course, all of you are already doing. And when I'm saying digital, it's mainly in the sphere of digital marketing, business analysis, because a lot of work is going on in terms of manufacturing, retail, that's all going into digital modes of work. In fact, a lot of spike has happened in the global use of data. So the digital is really big now. In fact, there will probably be more jobs generated in these areas. I have another slide to focus on certain areas, 3 or 4 areas. But let's look at the other skills quickly. We have next leadership. Obviously, the fluency, being able to lead a diverse team, being able to collaborate with different people from across the globe, and to emerge as a leader, somebody who's not going to step back and just keep on focusing on problems, but who will find the solutions first, right? Lead the others. Leadership skills, extremely important, extremely important. Diversity, that's always been there, knowing the differences and adapting to the differences. Okay, emotional intelligence and lifelong learning. Now, these two, when we say emotional intelligence or EQ, if you've not read Daniel Goleman's book, go and grab a copy of it online. Okay, it's about being aware of our emotions, being able to control them and express them. And then at the first level, it's our own emotions, that we predict our emotions and we therefore control and predict the behavior. And at the second level, which is the higher level, we are able to predict the emotions of other people and therefore manipulate and control that behavior, because we are understanding the people's emotions, and that is the sign of a true leader. So a good leader has very, very high emotional intelligence, because that person can understand the emotions and predict behavioral outcomes of his team members. So extremely important. EQ, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. It's people say that if IQ gets you hired, EQ is what gets you promoted. Right? So to stay there, we need that. And now post-COVID, that's even more important. Like I said, a lot of people are facing mental health issues, and we need to be extra aware, extra sensitive to people's emotions, how they're feeling. Finally, lifelong learning. Now, me being a part of learning and development, obviously, I would say that in TCS, we have a great stress on lifelong learning. And I could share a link to a LinkedIn video that Tata Consultancy Services has created, talent development video, even I'm in it. If any of you are interested, just connect with me on LinkedIn and I can share that link with you all then. Okay, so all the skills in 5 years, about 35% of what we need, 35% of the skills are going to change every 5 years. And that's a lot of rapid change. So it means that we need to constantly upskill ourselves, constantly develop our competence and be ahead. So these, I hope that you're making a note, will be the critical 10 skills for the next few years. Like I said, I would also like to focus on a few areas, and I think as software engineers, these are the 4 areas that the experts, I'm nobody to comment, but from what I have read and gathered, these are the areas that you can focus on, because cloud has emerged to be the backbone of IT infrastructure. We've seen over the last few months how cloud has actually helped us to remain alive. And the next area is cybersecurity. So read up on these areas. If you are not enough informed, then get information, because I think your interview questions might center around these areas. If you want to crack it, then these are areas that you should be completely aware of. You must have enough data and information. The next one is business analyst. I already mentioned this earlier, because a lot of MBA analysts, administrative analysts, and business analysts are going to be required. There's a huge spike in data usage, And all of this analysis that's going to go on at the back end is going to help the companies to thrive and survive. So there's a lot of scope in analysis, and digital marketing, of course, is going to be the way. Because in-person sales are going to have already dropped, not go up very much. So the digital way of doing things, whether it's retail or other infrastructures, that's where we need to completely be prepared for, ready to face. Especially as the coders, as the software guys, I think this is an area that you can safely prepare for. So coming to the interviews, whether they're going to be virtual or online, there are the words that we speak, the tone that we use, and of course our body language. It's going to be a Skype interview or a video call like this one, then your body language is going to count. So see if you can have a pleasant expression, a little bit of a smile. Words communicate only 7% in a face-to-face verbal communication channel. So that's really not that much, but we need to make sure we don't have fillers, we don't use sounds like and the tone, of course, even the same words, when we use different tones, accents, stresses, that can communicate a completely different meaning. And so tone is 37%. So for instance, if I say, I didn't say she took the book. I didn't say she took the book. It means someone else said that she took the book. But if I say, I didn't say she took the book, he took the book. Or I didn't say she took the book, which means that she took the diary or the pen or my phone. She didn't take the book, right? So the same words can actually express completely different messages. And we know that Murphy's law of communication states that communication usually fails except by chance. So if a message can be interpreted in more than one way, then it will be in the way that can cause the most harm. And only 1 out of 7 messages that we speak are sent effectively. So keeping that in mind, it's very important to be a little aware, be conscious, use pauses when we are communicating verbally, and try to have a positive body language. Modulate the voice a little bit, use some expressions, try to come across as a little different from the rest. Because remember, there are 1 million computer science engineers and BTechs. Why should I hire you? All of these will actually help you to answer that question. Now you might say, ma'am, how should we develop all this? How should we develop the communication skills or the other skills, the creativity and the innovation? How do we prepare for the leadership skills and the team skills that the organizations are looking for? Right? Remember the ASK model, attitude, skill, knowledge. So how do we go through those skills? Here are some different ways of getting to the how-tos, the answers to the how to do it. Now remember, most of this can be done online. Okay? I've taken out the things that you cannot do online, like traveling. I've taken those out. But if you go through these, you get some little bits of idea. And these are not something that I've put, by the way. This is all from research and publications. I've just filtered out and taken what I thought was more relevant. So you can do all of these, because being students does not mean that you're studying 24 hours. You must have 20 minutes to do something that you feel good about, that makes you feel happy and positive. And apart from that, you must set aside half an hour or a little bit more to do something else, which is creative. Something that will help you to be active in a social way. Whether it's being active on social media for networking, not just to spend time and pass time, but to do something, make something out of it, because this is your time and you are in a difficult situation. So you need to be extra prepared. Okay? Do group projects. Try to see if you can get some online work. Work voluntarily. Do voluntary work for publishers. Put all this in your CV when you're applying for jobs. Maybe you can be an entrepreneur. Start your own business. Develop a website for yourself or for somebody else. All of this you can do just sitting at home. Work in a group. You don't have to do it alone. 4 friends get together virtually and start something. Start something new. Start something innovative. Already doing it. Okay, so I'm assuming that those who haven't, now is a good time to start. So, in case you have any questions also related to these, you could jot it down and we'll come back to these later. My screen is fluctuating a little bit. I hope that you're able to see. Volunteers, could you help me? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
We can
ma'am.
see your screen. I'll just ask in the chat box once if everybody is able to see it.
Sure. So, having some online events and right, maybe the volunteers could also read them out in short, not all of them, some of them. Do you help me?
Ma'am, they are able to see your screen, and there is a question from somebody. How do we work on the more non-obvious traits like body language and tone, since we are not self-aware of it?
Good one. So, yeah, there are various ways of doing this. When you want to work on your body language, you remember that on one slide I've said that you can join an online drama group. So the moment you do online theatre and role play, then you get a chance to get feedback from the others in your team, which may be under difficult circumstances a little difficult to get unless you're doing it with your family members or friends, even virtually. Talk to each other virtually, do a mock interview with one another. You already know some of the interview skills. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why should I hire you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. These are the basic questions, right? So do this with friends and family. If you're not able to join some group, online groups, see if you're able to join Toastmasters. So there you will learn a lot about tone. People will actually tell you and give you feedback. It's very important to be aware of oneself. And of course, apart from all of this, what you can do is not practice in front of the mirror, but all of us have smartphones now. So your audio input and feedback, you can yourselves just record your speech and listen to yourself speaking. Tell me a little about yourself. Record it and hear it for yourself. In 1 or 2 minutes, how did you sum up your whole life? And you know the meaning of curriculum vitae? Does anybody know the meaning? In the chat box, what is the meaning of curriculum vitae?
Ma'am, somebody is saying that the presentation is not visible. Also, can you, I think, stop presenting and present once again? I think
Sure,
that's
sure. I'll do that. So my question to you in the meanwhile is, what is the meaning of curriculum vitae? Does anybody know?
Ma'am, somebody replied, it means course of life.
Excellent. It's the path of life or the course of life. See? Cheers to Google. Yes, right. It does mean the course of one's life. So to be able to sum up the 20 or 21 years of your life in just 1 or 2 minutes, it's not easy. So see if you can say it to yourself and record it on your phone and listen to yourself. The same thing about body language. You can just keep your phone somewhere and watch yourself, observe. But it's better if you have somebody else to give you feedback. And if you've never done it, now is a good time to start doing it online with your friends. If you don't have family members who can give you feedback, where you just come in, knock on the door, come inside, and then you answer 3 interview questions. And then you do the same for your friend. You have to collaborate. None of this is possible alone. So this is what I'm saying. You have to be with other people. We are social beings. We need feedback from others. That's going to help us ultimately, right? Okay, I'm going to try and share my presentation again. Just 1 or 2 slides left, not much. And then we
And ma'am, some others have also answered. They are saying a brief account of somebody's education details and skills, or the summary of what we have done so far, or about our educational qualifications and fields of interest, or somebody has written a way to represent myself.
Yeah. So it is all of that. You're correct. But in Latin, the term means curriculum means course or path, and vita means life. So it means the path of life, course of life. Yeah. And of course, we highlight what we want for that specific job. So, right. So here are some more ways of developing our skills and competences. See how many. So I've given you like about 20 or 30 examples. See if you can do at least 2 or 3 of this. Keep one as a takeaway. Even if you have one after spending 40 minutes time with me, you can have one thing that you take back. Even that is enough. Right? So some of my personal recommendations would be go for online certifications. You have the chance and the scope. See if you can learn a language. My language teacher always asked me, there are 1 million engineers, but how many of them can speak German? There are 2 million engineers, how many of them know? So if you know Spanish, you can be relevant all over Latin America, not just in Spain. If you know French, Canada will hire you and give you a preference rather than just in France. It's not just about European languages. Any language, even Japanese, German, it can give you an additional advantage. And remember that the latest feature and article that I read says that apparently coding depends more on language skills. To be a better coder, you need a good grasp of language skills rather than mathematics and engineering skills. So that was quite a revelation. Just 2 days ago, I read in an article. So languages help. And participate in online hackathons. It's going on all the time. Do these, get certified, get prizes, get awards. There's so much competition happening. Find out the data. Be the masters of data, because data is God. Be informed. The last point. Okay? And also use social media. Use social media wisely, not just to waste time, but to make your network, create a network of people that can help you. Connect on LinkedIn. Okay, send me some LinkedIn requests. I'll send you that. I'll share that link with you of the TCS talent development, what we are doing in lockdown. Small 3-minute video. It's there on LinkedIn. I'm sure many of you don't even know about it, right? So create your LinkedIn profiles, get there, get ahead, and I'm sure that you're going to come out of this successful. Okay. Can somebody read this out? Volunteers?
Yes, ma'am. Academic qualifications are not only our only important requirement. We will also expect you to have taken on positions of leadership and responsibility and show real ability to take initiative.
That's accountable, being responsible as a leader, and taking on that initiative to think out of the box and to find solutions instead of just focusing on the problems. And finally, of course, making the most of the opportunities. We have to put in that effort, and the rest, of course, becomes destiny. So that brings me to the end of what I wanted to share with you. I'm of course looking forward to your questions. In case you want to go back to any of the slides or if you have any queries, I'll be happy to take those.
Ma'am, somebody just asked that if you could share the article about which you just mentioned, where you read where coders need more of language skills than mathematics skills.
Sure. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I can just share it with you over there. I don't have it offhand right now. It's there somewhere on LinkedIn. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am or